Hi, Abdulqadir. Good evening. Thanks for coming in here. Thanks for taking out time. Abdulqadir is a product designer with 5+ years of experience. He's worked across industries and solved multiple problem statements. Abdulqadir, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sahil, and great to having me here. And I think before starting, thanks for all of this. Thanks for associating with getting me associated with Versatile. It's good to be here, and also since this is a the currently where we are into, or if you see the climate across India is quite of a winter climate weather going on. It's probably a good space, like this is a climate that most of the people love being in, right? Not too cold, not too
Right.
harsh summer, and this is perfect for a good conversation. So great. So about myself, I started actually, as a graphic designer. And before that, to give you a little more about my education, is that I did my BBA, which majors in marketing. It was from the my own hometown, okay, Nasik. And then, at that time, in my last year, I was doing an internship, right, for 3 months, and that's when I learned that marketing is something which I think I would not really enjoy, in a long term, in a long run, right? And it was a good field. I learned a lot of things. Marketing teaches a lot of good things. So that was all a good experience. The whole college experience, doing assignments, visiting, doing industrial visits. So it was a very fun experience. But also, thinking of from that perspective, that if I'm really going to enjoy my work, that was something, it really just got to me. And yeah, that's when I started looking at different options and what I can explore. That's when I got understood that exploring, I understood that there is a field as design, and there are multiple fields in design itself. So my interest from the starting was actually getting into UI UX, right? But at that time, I was not, I didn't wanted to move out from my hometown. I wanted to explore what opportunities are there in my hometown itself. At that time, graphic design, I got into graphic design. So that's where I learned a lot of things. I had my hands on, wearing multiple hats, because I was working in a marketing agency, right? So there, I was the when I joined, I was the only designer there. Later on, there another two three designers came in. So then we had a good team of three to four designers then. But before that, I was the only person who was getting all the briefs of websites, briefs of doing print media, then digital media, then even doing creating videos, right? So I had to initially I had just learned a tool, one or two tools, right? Adobe Photoshop, and I think another was, I think, Corel Draw, right? Vector software, and yeah, Illustrator as well.
Yeah.
So these were the softwares I had just learned on all by myself, okay, watching all the YouTube videos. Next, then I started, because these were different briefs I was getting, and we had to work on it. So I think, also I had a good team members there, and I got to experience all those things, right? All the design fields that are there. So that paved the way for me getting into UI UX later, in later 2 to 3 years down the line. And yeah, that's when I started, did the complete switch, rather than working in a graphic, to completely a UI UX designer. And I think it has been a good journey. I worked in my, I got to work in multiple domains, since I was working into design agencies, right, throughout across India,
Yeah.
multiple agencies. So that was a good exposure and good experience, because what happens is, I understood that I'm a person who usually gets bored, working on just a single product at times. But then also, so that was when, because I was in a design agency, that was not the case. We had multiple projects, and one project would be different from where the other project completely,
Yeah.
right? So it was a good experience, and again there were good companies, good startups that we got to work with. So yeah, and also after that I also had a design experience in a product company as well.
Okay.
Because so I worked initially with all the design agencies for I think 4 5 years, about 4 years, and then I thought, now I think I should get into myself into a co-product company now.
Right.
I wanted to experience that as well, because I think I at that time I was leaning towards working more in depth of a problem in a single for a single problem, for for a single user journey, right?
Hmm.
So that's when I started to explore opportunities, and then I got into the company in Bangalore, which was Brainsight AI, right? So it was a good experience right there. And yeah, I think now it has been a journey until now, a good journey, I think. It has been a fun journey, a lot of learning journey as well. Learned a lot of things during the time, you know,
Awesome.
and all, a great community of designers that we have, right?
Right.
So helpful. Initially, when I started out, I just want to mention this, right? When I started out, there was very, very limited resources, right? Even you would find very limited YouTube videos
Right.
right, about design, specifically more about UI and UX design. You would find a lot of videos about graphic softwares, right? Photoshop and Illustrator, all those things. But there are very limited resources about UI UX design, right? Yeah, and now if you see, there are so many resources, so many
Right.
YouTube videos, so many articles on Medium. There's so many new website resources that are there,
Right.
and there's so much evolved. The community itself has so much evolved, right? And so helpful. So very grateful and very good to be in that community.
Awesome, awesome. So I think, have you, in your experience, worked across, like, what's your spectrum been like? Have you worked across more UI kind of problems or more UX related, or it's been a mix of things?
Hmm. It has been a mix, but mostly I think I would say that I've worked more on UI projects since starting out as a graphic designer. I had more strong skills on towards UI, and it was just that because I was also working in a agency, right? So the setup there is like more when the team needs a UI person, and we have someone right there, so that person would be onboarded into that project, and then we would work on that. So yeah, it's all about that, setting amongst the agencies, where a person who has a very good skills was what kind of a resource, a person who with that skill set is available at that time,
Right.
for that particular project, right? And yeah, that's how it goes mostly in design agencies. But in product
Interesting.
companies, it's different, right? It's always
Yes,
different.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think, uh, so if, let's say, I'm thinking, let's say if a designer who's starting out a journey, right?
Mhm.
Would you recommend someone picking out working in an agency for a couple of years, or would you recommend the person to start off with, having a product experience and then to move towards the agency route?
I think it depends a person to person.
Hmm.
Most of the designers, right? Because they nowadays there are a lot of I see designers who are upcoming designers. Go participate in cohorts.
Yeah.
Participate in different competitions also, and that's when they also learn different skills that is required for UI or required for UX. Or
Hmm.
now there's hybrid designers, right? There are hybrid designers as well as known as product designers,
Right.
so who have good, and so it's a mix, right? Some of the product designers would be great at UX, but also know lot of things about UI as well, right? They
Hmm.
can create good UI designs, whereas the other part would be like they have very strong UI skills, and they also know UX, but comparatively, if you see, the UI is strong, so it's a mix. But now talking about where they can start is if a designer has not experienced a lot of things, had a lot hands-on experience, they have understood theories, and or setting out solo, learning through YouTube videos or things like
Yeah.
that, right? They should probably create their own portfolios, and work on projects, right?
Mm.
Experiment with both of them, not just UI, not just UX, but take on both of them.
Mm.
Work on, at least do at least 3 projects or 4 projects, and then they will also start to understand themselves where they are good at. They can
Right.
analyze, they can give it to the senior designers into the
Mm.
community, get their work reviewed,
Yeah.
understand, learn from it,
Yeah.
right? So that also gives a lot of understanding to a designer in which direction they are, they can go. Should they go into core UX or core UI, or they can be a good mix of both, you know wearing
Got it.
multiple hats.
Got
So
it.
yeah.
In terms of, I mean, since you started off and up till now, right? What's been the most exciting problem that you've solved, which has been like a haha moment, or has made you learned a lot, like going deeper and like vertical and horizontal growth has been the maximum.
um, I think there have been multiple projects. I can't really pick any one of them, because you know every project gives a different kind of a learning, right?
Right.
Every project teaches you different things, and it's also about more of about domain as well, right?
Hmm.
Now, you know I've been working in a design agency. I've worked across multiple domain projects, right?
Hmm.
And every time I work, whether it's a SaaS product, B2C, or whether it's a B2B product, right? Both of them have their own, challenges. Both of them have, again, there are limitations to what is the scale of the project, what is
Right.
the scale of, the work that is going to go into that project,
Hmm.
right? Is it a long-term project? Is it a short-term project? Then again, what is the scope of that project, right?
Right.
uh, so it all depends on that, but I think I can pick a few of them,
Yeah.
like one of them was noise. I got to work to be a part of that project, which was the noise had actually looking created a new product in the
Hmm.
kids segment, right? A
Okay.
new smartwatch. And for that they needed uh, you know product design to be created for their smartwatch, for the kids
Right.
smartwatch, right? So that was one of the project where it was a new thing, because I didn't work personally on any wearable device until
Hmm.
then. So that was a new project, completely different. And then I think I would also say about my recent job where I was working at Brainset AI.
Hmm.
That was a AI based startup. And because it was all about working with ML engineers,
Yeah.
working with AI tech that is going on, right? And again, initially it was a very new company, right? It was a very new startup. And when I joined in, we were completely overhauling the existing platform.
Hmm.
All right. So I think that was also a great project for me, which, because that was the project I got to go most into the depths of
Hmm.
it. And again, because it was a healthcare company,
Right.
uh, you know it was completely a new era, right? A completely new field for me. It was got to learn so many things about neuroscience, so many things about working with, because I got to work with neuro surgeons.
Right.
Had a little few conversations with neurosurgeons, neurologists. Then again, the in-house team, right? The product manager and the CEO, they were all so much uh, and they had so much of understanding of the brain science, right? And how the way, and they had such a vision, right, about uh, that the product itself, right, and which direction it should be moving, and the tech behind it, right? And then again, the logistics of all of those things, right? uh, all of them, it was so it was a small team, but we were all so tightly working together, right?
Right.
On the complete project, right? So it was a very good learning experience for me as well.
Can you go deeper into the aspects of what was the problem that you were solving there at Brainsight AI, and how did you approach solving that, and what was the outcome that you were trying to achieve?
So there it was not a very single uh, problem that we were working at on,
Hmm.
right? There were multiple problems there, because we were trying, because in that at that time, right, what was happening was that, uh, firstly, the users, right, the user base for the product was such that they wouldn't know what things they would like to know get from this product. Again,
Interesting, yeah.
this product was completely new, right?
Mm.
It has never been created, right? So people don't know what they don't know, right? The
Mm.
users don't know what they don't know, which is completely very, very challenging in itself.
Correct.
Again,
It's
we as designers, or working on it, when we would do go towards doing user tests or user interviews as well, right? We will take we would take the prototypes, right, and test it out with the user. We would get a lot of good insights based on very technicalities of the product.
okay. Like
uh,
what kind of aspects, what kind of insights did you achieve, and what was the problem that you were trying to cater to?
so I'll give you a little context, right? The product was about using it towards simplifying uh, the pre-operative surgical planning that a neurosurgeon does.
Okay, quite technical.
It's quite technical. Even I spent like a few months there working there, and it was very, very technical in terms of medical understanding and things, right? So even I was completely new. I was learning a lot of things. Even being there for months, right? I had so many confusions at the same time. And I would be going to my buddy designer who was there already, and then another product manager was there, right? Product head that was the CEO, and ask questions like, how does this work, what would the user, and at times it would be such that even I would get confused, right? Because there's such technical nuances are also right there. So it was, I was also searching my way into it, while designing the product, while working on different challenges and solving problems. There was not, what at the time we were also looking for, getting a focus towards solving a bigger picture, right? And again, and trying to analyze what is the bigger problem in there. Because we there in a product you will never find that there's a very single one problem. There are, and even what happens is the product keeps, we have to think from a different perspective, right?
Correct.
That how is the product go into the later stages, right, into the future, how it can evolve, right?
Right.
So at that time, even that was what we were thinking about, how we can scale this up, how it can go into the US markets, right? And again, there were different challenges, how there was challenge of getting adoption of the product into the hospitals in India itself, right? And how willing are the users, or or the complete the culture of, or the environment of hospitals in India, different hospitals in India, how much they are willing to invest in this. And also depends on, because this product is also linked to the the MRI machines.
Right.
Okay, so it also depends quite heavily on that as well.
Correct.
So the more good a hospital offers an MRI machines, right, the more easily the product can be incorporated.
So
But
in
it's not,
yep, sorry, please go on.
yeah. So I would say it's not completely. It was not completely that completely dependent on the MRI machines, but to a quite good extent, because getting those scan images is a
Right.
very important piece of the initial data that we acquire, and then
Right.
based on it, up product analyzes that scans, and then based on that the reports and the results are generated, which
Mm.
the neurosurgeon neurologist first gets that result. Then that person neurologist has to analyze the result, the reports, and then create their own briefs about it, and then pass it on to neurosurgeon at the end, where the neurosurgeon goes through it and then does the preoperative surgical planning before going into the operation theater to work on with the brain tumor patients.
It. I think it's such a interesting problem and such a niche problem that is that you've been solving in terms of in brain sight, right? Because one, even if let's take B2B and B2C as a space, then you take B2B as a space, and then you take certain industry, fintech, or SaaS, different SaaS kind of platforms which automate something or the other.
Hmm.
Healthcare, and in terms of inside healthcare, kind of you catering to a neurological kind of segment is like even nicher segment that you're solving, right?
Very, very niche, yeah.
and as a designer, one, you had to understand the medical nuances of everything, right? And as a designer, then after understanding the medical nuances, you had to simplify the design. So how did you ended up, you know putting everything, all the insights that you gained in terms of design, making it simplified for the doctors who are busy day in day out in doing particular stuff?
Yeah. I think first of all, working with neurologists and neurosurgeon itself is very, very, so I'll say that when we had to, get interviews with these people, we would have to, uh, get time, you know, a lot in advance, like, before for 1 week, or, even prior to that. And again, we also have one had a sales executive, right? A sales head. So that person was very instrumental in also getting us time slots from these neurosurgeons and radiologists, uh, for taking interviews, or even when we had certain ideas in mind, or we were speculating some things. There was at times when we had arrived at a particular solution, but we also had a little confusion, or we had another sideways side parts towards it. It can be another part that we can take, and maybe there can be some technical challenges that we currently don't know, right? In most of the cases we did know, right? And most of the times we would have our own hypothesis based on that, and we would just want to even completely confirm, get complete affirmation on that, if that hypothesis is correct. And then at that time it would be really, really important for us to get it quickly done, get that affirmation quickly done, so we can move forward. So in that, at that times, the sales executives and even people, like my buddy was my buddy designer who was working, I think from 1+ years before I joined. So he had also built a good rapport, because he would be visiting these neurosurgeons and neurologists quite frequently, right? So in that case, it was also very helpful to get these people, easily, onboarded, or easily get the time slots, and it would be very, very strict, right? Like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They would be very, very particular about the times as well, you know because the schedule is so
Right.
packed, right? It was very, very challenging, but it was also really fun. And we also had to think of where, how do we want to invest our times, where do we want to invest our times, and how, because some things would be set at a distance in future, where we know कि हमें अभी यहाँ पे we wouldn't be getting any answer, right?
Right.
We'll have to wait until then. So what is the different thing where we can, we can take another bet and go move forward with that by meanwhile. So That was again, very very crucial, uh, work on that. And I think I think there were 3 4 people in the company, because who were constantly interacting with these people, right? So that really helped in getting the time slots of these users who were working. And also the bigger point here is that they themselves, because they had been now connected with brainside for quite a good amount of time. And because we would be constantly getting in touch with them, doing product testing, understanding
Right.
the nuances. So even they had that belief what we had, what we believed, right? And they were completely sold at it, and they believed in this innovation that we are, working on. So that was the biggest thing that really helped us as well. And some of the good, great neuroradiologists and neurosurgeons were helping us out at that time. And I think they would be also be currently at this time as well. And that was really great about you know that complete
Interesting.
experience itself.
Perfect. One last bit, we'll talk a bit more deeper into the level of problem statement that you solved with the noise product, right?
So
Yeah.
noise product was, that they wanted to, you know they had analyzed that currently Indian market does not have a, that entry level kids smartwatch that the kids would really like. And that's when it saw the gap and it approached our agency. And I think I would be grateful enough to be working on this project. And so it was a complete uh, product, end to end product that we had to work with. At that particular time we didn't even have the screen size that would be there for the watch,
Okay.
right? And I was working mostly on the UI part of it, because I was at that time also involved in another project. And other another UX designers were working on the part of it. But yeah, I was completely onboarded from the very start. I'd be getting into the calls, right, brainstorming calls at times, then again going through, if I would not be there I would then go through the recordings, right, go through all the documentation. At times, if whenever I would get time, what I would do is jump into the Figma files, right, what the designers were working on, and just go through it, play in, then we as designers, we have that play area, right,
Right.
into the Figma. And that's when I would also do that. And it was fun. What we had to do was completely build trust of parents, right? What we had to do with that product is gain trust of parents, so that they, because they were the primary buyers
Yeah.
of the smartwatch at the end, right? So that was really important for that. And again, the kids, right, the market that was aimed for the kids was from the age group of 5 to 12 years, right, which is quite you know very vast, which is that a 5 to 8 year, right, 5 to 8 year would have very different likes, dislikes, very different approach, different understanding, different motor skills, right, even the way they have grown,
Yeah.
mentally and physically. And again, the kids who are 8 plus or 10 plus years, right, they would have different likes and dislikes. So it was a very challenging in that sense, because completely two different audience and one single product that we were catering to. And we had to a 10-year or 12-year old would not really like the preferences of a 5-year old, right?
Yeah.
Because it would be so much, the 5-year old would have some very kiddish kind of
Right.
likings,
Right.
right? Whereas a 12-year old would not have such kind. And even again, the social group that we have, right,
Right.
a 5-year doesn't understand social
Right.
collaborations, or social activities, socializing,
Right.
right? Whereas a 12-year old would start building that social aspect, right? uh,
Right.
how to uh, get along, and what to do, all
Right.
that stuff. And again, the motor skills that they've created, built up, right?
Right.
So all those things were really great challenges that we had. But at the end, I think we built a good product at the end. I think, and it also won, Amazon's choice at the time when it was launched. It became an instant Amazon choice, right? That product. And again, I think we also won two awards for it, right? One or two awards for the design of it. Uh,
Awesome. Yeah.
so really glad for that product. I think I would name that. It was the smartwatch. It was Noise Champ 2. So I think
Okay.
you all
Okay.
can go and look out for it.
Yeah, I'll definitely look out for it after this podcast. So you talked about trust, right? Because parents were the primary buyer, and obviously the users were the kids. Uh, Through design, how did you go about building trust?
So initially, what we understood was, right, key the problems we had to really get into understanding what parents are looking for, right? Key, how do they see their kids to be spending time on their watch, whereas also how they can get value out of it, right? Not just the kid but the parents as themselves, right? So a lot of things were there, right? A parent would want to know, key, my kid, I can track location of my kid, right? I can maybe geofence the locations, and if the kid goes out, and I would get notifications, alerts, um, seeing to that they know, and the kid is completely safe, right? They know that the kids is safe, right? When they are not around. And again, maintaining understanding that the kid, how the kid is progressing in terms of physical activities, right? If the kid is being too inactive, or if the kid is very very active, you know like because it also had those activity modes, right? 100 plus activities I think were there. So because, and I think the very core thing to that was, these kids are spending a lot of their times at school,
Mm.
right? So there was this use case, a big use case there, which was untapped, right? How can kids use this smartwatch at the school, and how can this bring out some really valuable things to the parents,
Right,
right? So that they would also like that product, gain trust, and get to know that you know they are getting a really good value. They are getting to know that their kids are safe, that
right,
they're getting to know that the kid is performing in such way, or doing such things that while at being at school, right? So that was a good relief feature, and how the kids and parents were getting connected, right?
right,
So that was a really great thing that was there, which connected them too. So I think the core was, getting parents and kids connected through this product, right? And so that the parents will also always be in, knows of the kids, of the kids, how, where, if they are safe, and you know if the kid, how the kid is performing in certain activities,
right,
right? So that was something that got trust when we did user interviews at a later stage of when we had good enough designs ready. We prototyped it and tested out with the parents as well. I think, and even with the kids. So again, when the parents see that the kids are enjoying the smartwatch, the smart right designs, they will say, okay, now I do see value in it, and I see that my kid is also enjoying it. I think I'm also getting a good value out of it, and I can
right,
trust it, right? It is at an extent it is reliable. And again, there was this price point, right? Which it was aimed at, right? So it wouldn't really hurt parents, to buy this
right.
smartwatch and try it out.
Right. So I think for anyone who's watching this conversation, I think building trust here is what Abdul Qadir is talking about, is small nudges that were added into design, notifications, regular updates. I think via apps probably it would be right. and the price point was another thing. And I think the use case, like as a wholesome product, the use case post the use just made sure that the product through via design has done a brilliant job in building trust in terms of parents who were primary buyers, and users absolutely just, I think, would love, because it's just towards the kids, right? Kind of that. Awesome.
Right.
I think, Abdul Qadir, thanks so much for your time. I think it's been a brilliant conversation. I think it's been short, 20, 25 minutes, 30 short conversation. Would have loved to go on more, but we'll have that for future. We'll save it for the future, and we'll get other designers also on board, and we'll together talk about it. Thank you so
Absolutely,
much.
absolutely, absolutely. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thanks so much for having me here. Thank you.